You didn't get the food story today.
No, I didn't, but still something really important that we need to talk about. Maybe not make
Yes.
your mouth water, your tummy rumble, but it's good to keep, good information to keep in your back pocket, because we're going
Yes.
to be talking about an event that happened today. It was a walk to bring awareness to financial exploitation, specifically in our senior population.
Right.
So I think yesterday, Hannah, believe you previewed this and you spoke with the
I did.
event organizers, and it was a wonderful event. They had signs out there, saying if it's not your money, it's a crime.
Oh,
They
yes.
had information about how to notice the signs, how to protect yourself. So it was really, really interesting, and it's something that I don't really think about often. But how often do we get text messages from, like, let's say, like the tollway scams?
Yes.
Trying to get your money. Or I know there was this scam recently here in Smith County specifically saying, this is the sheriff's office, you owe us money, send us money.
Yeah.
So financial crimes, financial exploitation is running rampant online, specifically, like I said, online, social media like Facebook, phone calls, and text messages. So their goal today was to bring awareness to this so that people can know, like, hey, don't share your bank account information. If you have a checkbook, a blank checkbook, leave it squared away, because something that I learned is that the usual perpetrators, not always, but usually, are people close to a person, specifically seniors. So if that's a caretaker or a family member, they can just grab their empty checkbook, or if they have a bank statement laying around with their information, they can
Just
do
jot
it
it
and
down.
do it.
And
So,
that's tough,
yeah.
because those are the people you trust the most.
Yes.
When it comes to your health and everything else, knowing that they're just dipping into everything that
Dipping
you
in.
have, that you've saved over time. That's a tough one to take
It
in,
is, and
but it's real.
And I spoke with Miss Shelley Shaw. She is with Adult Protective Services, and she told me something. You'll hear in the very, very beginning of this interview with her that, our elderly and our senior population are very trusting.
Yes, yes, they are.
And realistically, this is a completely different world that they grew up in. It's different now since I've joined the internet, and I'm young, in my early 20s, and these scams are, and with AI, whole different conversation.
They're
too,
getting
but
more and more advanced every day.
Yes,
More
and there are a
informed.
lot of ways to trick you. So I spoke with Miss Shelley Shaw. She's going to go into the ways, the signs to look at. She's going to talk about exactly what financial exploitation is, and then we can talk a little bit after that.
Perfect. Here she is now.
Yeah, well, I say our seniors are the most trusting, caring individuals, and so a lot of times they fall into, the scams and the frauds, and then that leads them into being in a state of neglect. Exploitation is the illegal or improper use of someone else's money. Usually APS, when we step in, it's because of a caregiver, a family member, anybody that has a personal relationship with that senior has been financially exploited. I tell people all the time, don't leave blank checks out. If you have, banking information out, don't leave that out in the open. Never ever give your banking information out to anybody. People will say, well, the bank called me and wanted my account information. I gave it to them. The bank is never going to call you and ask for your account information. They have that information. So those are just a few tips. I also tell family members to be sure and check on your family. Look at their bank accounts. Make sure that there's no transactions on the bank accounts that are not recognizable. So those are just a few things that we can do to help prevent exploitation. Yeah, so our Smith County APS Advisory Board is a group of community members. They all love seniors and are involved, helping seniors in our community. And so they've actually organized this event. We have Heart to Heart Hospice, cooking burgers, and so we just want to get awareness out. They work so hard for this. We're hoping, we started at Bergfield Park last year, but we're hoping to make it bigger. And so we thought getting at the Veterans Home, bringing these residents out might help us get a little larger crowd. I just want people to know, don't be ashamed if you've ever been exploited. We do have a hotline number that you can call into. It's 1-800-252-5400. Or you can also do the website, txabusehotline.org. And again, if you know anybody that's been financially exploited, or you yourself have been financially exploited, you can call into that number and a local investigator will come out and visit with you, and then we'll tell you about some resources and provide some information to get you out of that situation.
I love that this exists because I wish I had the time to tell my grandmother, do not click on everything you see on Facebook.
Yes, especially because sometimes it's random things. I
Yes.
think there's sometimes like random bots that'll just go in the comment section and be like, click on this link, or just try to link to something, and it takes all your info, hacks your Facebook, and then uses it to scam your family members.
Yes, and it's often websites that look like something, but really there's something else. Like,
Right.
there's the .com, but then there's the .org, and then .whatevers that can really lead you down into a bad rabbit hole.
Right. So it's really, really important to be mindful of what you're sharing, what you're clicking on, who you're talking to, and if you're keeping some information out to where, like we said earlier, someone could take advantage of it. Now, we'll hear a little bit more tonight at 5 and a lot more at 6. And at 6
Okay.
o'clock, we can hear from an attendee I spoke with, and she was telling me she was walking today for her grandmother, who was unfortunately scammed out of hundreds, thousands of dollars on Facebook. There's somebody who was impersonating somebody she thought was someone else, and she was sending him gift cards, and it's just horrible. So these are different ways that we need to be around and making sure our grandparents and our older family members are paying
Right.
attention, because this can happen
Yeah,
like
you
that.
talk about kids, being aware of what they're seeing online. It
Right.
goes for our older family members as well, because
Right.
these are also the folks who have all those funds that they've saved up, all working their whole lives, ready for retirement, but they're also the most giving. Like you had mentioned earlier, they're the most, they'll give you the shirt off their back if you
Right.
asked for it. So it's just tough to see them put in that
Yes.
kind of situation.
And a couple of more stats before I leave out of here.
Please, I love information.
Shelley did say that there were 13,000 alleged reported cases of this in Texas last year.
Okay.
800 were here in East Texas. So if you were one in that 1,800, I hate that. I hate it so much, because it's so hard nowadays, because there's the internet, phone calls, and text messages. And I hope that if you weren't a part of it, you learned something today to keep that information with you, to keep
Right.
yourself and your bank account safe.
And for those who are not aware on how to get that information,
Yes.
you'll have more on this later.
Yes, more on this tonight at 5 and at 6 o'clock on KLTV.
Perfect. Thank you so
Yes, of
much. We
course.
appreciate you. All right. Keeping everybody safe today.